Alright, this shit sounds spooky. Yeah, I was on the other side so people could see what the fuck was happening. With, like, the rolls and such. Yeah. Welcome everyone to Dagon! This is a game based off of a book. The book was written by H.P. Lovecraft. Pretty sure you played this game and it's more of a walking sim? Honestly, that's good. Dagon is a faithful interactive adaptation of H.P. Lovecraft's work, focused on story and atmosphere. You will not find difficult choices, action sequences, or inventory management here, and movement is limited to processing through locations along with the plot. Damn it, I can't be free. Shit.
I am writing this under an appreciable mental strain, since by tonight I shall be no more.
Jesus fucking Christ, the voice actor scared me a little. Okay. During the game, you will encounter interactive elements. Some of them will allow you to continue your journey. Others will reveal interesting facts about the original short story and its historical background and the author. Some of the trivia is hidden. In order to find these secrets, focus your eyes and look for the Elder Sign. So welcome in, Skitter, and welcome in, Texas. Yeah, I was told by Quill.
My supply of the drug which alone makes life endurable. I can bear the torture no longer, and shall cast myself from this garret window into the squalid street below.
Oh shit, that's one hell of a way to
Do not think from
start.
my slavery to morphine that I am a weakling or a degenerate.
I don't know. Having an addiction does tend to make you...
When you have read these hastily scrawled pages, you may guess, though never fully realize, why it is that I must have forgetfulness or death.
What are we writing?
It was in one of the most open and least frequented parts of the broad Pacific that the packet of which I was supercargo fell a victim to the German sea raider.
Boat. What the fuck?
The Great War was then at its very beginning, and the ocean forces
Oh.
of the Hun had not completely sunk to their later degradation.
Oh, bro's referring to the First World War, because they called it the Great War, because they were like, there's definitely not going to be a second one, no! And then there was a second one, and everyone was like, Pikachu gasped shock face. The ocean forces of the Hun?
So that our vessel was made a legitimate prize, whilst we of her crew were treated with all the fairness and consideration due us as naval prisoners.
Ah, prisoners of war. That's fun. That's great. So the German ship that we were on was difficult to capture? The Huns were Central Asian nomads who established a dominion in Europe and invaded the Roman Empire in the 5th century AD. They were known as brutal, deadly warriors, and masters of quick raids who also developed powerful composite bows, lassos, and early siege weapons. Ooh. During World War I, the British used the word Hun as a synonym for Germans. Yes, that... in order to emphasize their brutality. However, the term originated when the German Emperor Wilhelm II gave a speech to his troops on the 27th of July, 19,000, before they embarked to China. Should you encounter the enemy, he will be defeated. No quarter will be given. Prisoners will not be taken. Whoever falls into your hands is forfeited. Just as 1,000 years ago, the Huns under their king Attila made a name for themselves, one day that even today makes them seem mighty in history and legend. May the name German be affirmed by you in such a way in China that no Chinese will ever again dare to look cross-eyed at a German. The refusal to take prisoners was a clear breach of the laws and customs of war adopted during the First Peg. I don't know how to pronounce that. Convention of 1899. You can read the discovered trivia immediately or go back to them later in the main menu. Turn off displaying trivia if you find that the feature distracts you from the story. No, I like it. This is learning. I like learning. It's fun. We all get to learn today.
So liberal, indeed, was the discipline of our captors, that 5 days after we were taken, I managed to escape alone, in a small boat, with water and provisions for a good length of time.
Damn, okay, so they just were very lax in their security in general. Shit, that's not ideal, man. That's kind of shit. What if you already know this? Too bad, you're learning it again.
When I
Repetition of
finally found
knowledge
myself
helps.
adrift and free, I had but little idea of my surroundings.
This is pretty. This is really pretty. But, what's in the water?
Never a competent navigator, I could only guess vaguely by the sun and stars that I was somewhat south of the equator. Of the longitude, I knew nothing, and no island or coastline was in sight.
That's great, man. So you just hopped in a boat with some food and some water and said, haha, I'll figure this shit out. Yeah, you're a little goofy. You're a little goofy for that.
The weather kept fair, and for uncounted days I drifted aimlessly beneath the scorching sun, waiting either for some passing ship or to be cast on the shores of some habitable land.
That's assuming it's habitable land. It might not be land. That's habitable. Habitable. God. Ration your water and your food.
Neither ship nor land appeared, and I began to despair in my solitude upon the heaving vastness of unbroken blue. The change happened whilst I slept.
Huh?
Its details I shall never know. For my slumber, though troubled and dream-infested, was continuous.
Wait, so he just kept dreaming? He was just going hunk me the entire time? Okay. Hello, Chris. Well, if this isn't a drug-induced nightmare fever dream, I don't fucking know what
It was
is.
to discover myself half sucked into a slimy expanse of hellish black mire, which extended about me in monotonous
Jesus
undulations
fucking
as far as I could see.
Christ. Dude. Remind me to never ask how
And in
bro
which my
slept.
boat lay grounded some distance away.
At least we found land.
Though one might well imagine that my first sensation would be of wonder at so prodigious and unexpected a transformation of scenery, I was in
Is this
reality
squid?
more horrified than astonished. For
The
there
fuck
was
are
in the
those?
air and in the rotting soil a sinister quality which chilled me to the very core. The region was putrid with the carcasses of decaying fish and of other, less describable things which I saw protruding from the nasty mud of the unending plain.
You thought we escaped the slimy mindfuckery and evil within? Yeah, no, this is just getting started. Is that an octopus over there? That poor guy, look at him. He's just stuck there. He is just stuck there. That poor little guy.
Perhaps I should not hope to convey in mere words the unutterable hideousness that can dwell in absolute silence and barren immensity.
No, this is fire. What are you
There is
talking about?
nothing within hearing and nothing in sight save a vast reach of black slime. Yet the very completeness of the stillness and the homogeneity of the landscape oppressed me with a nauseating fear. The sun was blazing down from a sky which seemed to me almost black in its cloudless cruelty, as though reflecting the inky marsh beneath my feet.
What the fuck is that? What am I looking at? It looks like an isopod or something. and that looks like another... Is that supposed to be an octopus or a squid? I can never tell the difference between the two. I just know they have different head shapes. I'm looking around for secrets, though. Oh, Quidian? Is that what they... These definitely look more... like, they're supposed to be from a different time period. Oh well. Oh, I don't like that. Oh, I don't like that noise.
As I crawled into the stranded boat, I realized that only one theory could explain my position.
What, that shit's fucked?
Through some unprecedented volcanic upheaval, a portion of the ocean floor must have been thrown to the surface, exposing regions for which innumerable millions of years had lain hidden under unfathomable watery depths.
Squid have 6 arms and octopi have 8. They also have different shaped heads. Squids have long heads. Octopi have short heads. Or at least more rounded ones. Or, excuse me, a squidian.
So great was the extent of the new land which had risen beneath me that I could not detect the faintest noise of the surging ocean, straining my ears as I might.
Thank you for the hydrate.
Nor were there any seafowl to prey upon the dead things.
I mean, this is also a weird drug-induced eldritch hallucination. Yeah. Morphine can do some fucked-ass shit to your brain. You know this game. You've seen these tentacles before. You thought you hallucinated something coming out of the game and hitting you in the head? Nah. Oh wait, there's a fish! Don't tell me we're gonna eat that. Please don't eat that.
Hours I sat thinking or brooding in the boat, which lay upon its side and afforded a slight shade as the sun moved across the heavens.
You have a friend who's very interested in tentacles, and you had to be like, no, bad. Down, girl, down. You're a good friend for that. But, yeah, no, this does not look any better in light.
As the day progressed, the ground lost some of its stickiness and seemed likely to dry sufficiently for traveling purposes in a short time.
What is that in the distance? It's moving and I don't like it.
That night I slept but little, and the next day I made for myself a pack containing food and water, preparatory to an overland journey in search of the vanished sea and possible rescue.
I don't think you're getting possible rescue, buddy, but nice try. Let's take our shit and leave. That's your house, Balden. You might want to move.
To walk upon with ease. The odor of the fish was maddening, but I was too much concerned with graver things to mind so slight an evil, and set out boldly for an unknown goal.
Alright, where are we going? Where are we heading to? Good thing there's snacks on the way. I hate that fucking noise. My misophonia.
All day I forged steadily westward, guided by a faraway hummock which rose higher than any other elevation on the rolling desert.
What the fuck are those things? What is that? Are those supposed to be arms or something? Like Howl's Moving Castle, its balls undulating hovel. I almost read that as something else. Oh, I hate that noise. Hello, Karoneko. Welcome in. Thank you for the follow. Yeah, no, the more we walk, the more fucked up this looks. God fucking damn it. Looks like a messed up squid missing tentacles with a very messed up beak.
On the following day, still travelled toward the hummock, though that object seemed scarcely nearer than when I had first espied it.
What this? Okay. The Horrors of the Ocean. The creator of the Cthulhu mythos and the fictional underwater city of Rylea. I think I said that right. was convinced that life could not exist at the bottom of the ocean because the water pressure would make it uninhabitable. Today we know that the darkest depths of the ocean are home to many peculiar organisms. The deepest dwelling fish we have discovered so far, the Mariana snailfish, can live about 8,000 meters, more than 26,000 feet, below the ocean surface, in never-ending darkness and at hellishly crushing pressures, hundreds of times stronger than those found at sea level. Upon glancing at the modern photos of deep-sea creatures, such as anglerfish, the fangtooth, or the viperfish, and their truly Lovecraftian characteristics, it's hard not to find some irony in this. If you're a fan of Dunwich Horror, the rats in the walls, and At the Mountains of Madness. So, I'll need to look into those. If there's like game adaptations of those, I'll play them.
By the fourth evening, I attained the base of the mound, which turned out to be much higher than it had appeared from a distance.
You and mountain climbing? What the fuck? Oh, I see glowy things. I see glowy things in the distance.
An intervening valley setting it out in sharper relief from the general surface. Too weary to ascend, I slept in the shadow of the hill.
Might want to hurry. I don't know how long.
My dreams were so wild that night. But ere the waning and fantastically gibbous moon had risen far above the eastern plain, I was awake in a cold perspiration, determined to sleep no more.
You don't need sleep.
Such visions as I had experienced were too much for me to endure again. And in the glow of the moon I saw how unwise I had been to travel by day. Without the glare of the parching sun, my journey would have cost me less energy. Indeed, I now felt quite able to perform the ascent which had deterred me at sunset. Picking up my pack, I started for the crest of the eminence.
The crest of the eminence. That's a fucking cool name. Are there any secrets? No? No trivia for me? I cry.
I have said that the unbroken monotony of the rolling plain was a source of vague horror to me.
I don't know if any games based on those. The only ones that might have one is At the Mountains. Rats would be a hilarious game because it'd just be you in your house thinking you're hearing shit until you tear your house down. Fuck yeah. Descend into madness.
Looks like we've got some fresh
down
meat.
the other side into
Quick,
an immeasurable
put on your
pit
best
or
cookie
canyon.
face. Let's reel them in with our charm, Nemiyu.
Thank you for the raid, Pixie. How was Elite dangerous?
Whose black recesses the moon had not yet soared.
Am I
high
on top
enough
of
to
the mountain yet? It's good? Hell yeah! We're currently playing Dagon, which is a game that was adapted from one of H.P. Lovecraft's books. If you need to get anything to drink, anything to eat, or just raid and run, feel free to do so. Please take care of yourself. Yeah, no, I am playing this for the first time. I have very rarely had the opportunity to read any of H.P. Lovecraft's books. But the little bit that I have read, I've enjoyed.
I felt myself on the edge of the world.
Because you're on a mountain?
Peering over the rim into a fathomless chaos of eternal night.
Oh.
Through my terror ran curious reminiscences of Paradise Lost.
Ah, Paradise Lost.
And of Satan's hideous climb through the unfashioned realms of darkness.
Hello, Caitlin.
As the moon climbed higher in the sky, I began to see that the slopes of the valley were not quite so perpendicular as I had imagined.
You get to climb up.
Ledges
Are we going
and
down?
outcroppings of rock
We're going
afforded
down.
fairly easy footholds for a descent.
Why are we descending?
Whilst after a drop of only a few hundred feet, the declivity became very gradual.
You get to slide down, bud. Have fun. Most Lovecraft games are always almost...
I cannot definitely analyze. I scrambled with difficulty down the rocks and stood on the gentler slope beneath.
Okay, they're done. Most Lovecraft games are always almost always about the call of Cthulhu or the shadow over Innsmouth. That's true. Those are good though. It's very, very mysterious.
Gazing into the Stygian deeps, where no light had yet penetrated. All at once, my attention was captured by a vast and singular object on the opposite slope.
Ooh, bright
which
and
rose
shiny.
steeply, about 100 yards ahead of me.
Is that literally just a square?
An object that gleamed whitely in the newly bestowed rays of the ascending moon.
Thanks for showing me a square, Moon. Much appreciated. I'm gonna take a good look at it. Also, they are the stories that basically made Lovecraft.
It was merely a gigantic piece of stone, I soon assured myself. But I was conscious of a distinct impression that its contour and position were not altogether the work of nature.
Yeah, I don't think squares just randomly appear in nature.
A closer scrutiny filled me with sensations I cannot express.
You can't express them? What?
For despite its enormous magnitude,
Bro
and its
console
position
commanded
in the
it.
abyss which had yawned at the bottom of the sea since the world was young,
Dude, these Minecraft hacks be crazy.
I perceived beyond a doubt that the strange object was a well-shaped monolith, whose massive bulk had known the workmanship and perhaps the worship of living and thinking creatures. Dazed and frightened, yet not without a certain thrill of the scientist's or archaeologist's delight, I examined my surroundings more closely.
Where am I? Y'all want to go worship the giant cube? Fuck yeah! Look at it! Giant cube!
The zenith shone weirdly and vividly above the towering steeps that hemmed in the chasm.
Oh, maybe that's a little bit concerning.
A far-flung body of water flowed at the bottom, winding out of sight in both directions and almost lapping my feet as I stood on the slope.
Why does the water here have gravitational
Across the chasm,
pull?
the wavelets washed the base of the cyclopean monolith. On
Can I
whose
drink the
surface
water?
I could now trace both inscriptions and crude sculptures.
You know, someone would think of that as like a sign to not go near it, but I guess in this case, no, we're gonna go near it. Hell yeah.
The writing was in a system of hieroglyphics unknown to me and unlike anything I'd ever seen in books.
Alrighty, enjoy your movie.
Consisting for the most part of conventionalized aquatic symbols such as fishes, eels, octopi, crustaceans, mollusks, whales, and the like.
Okay.
Several characters obviously represented marine things which are unknown to the modern world, but whose decomposing forms I had observed on the ocean-risen plain.
Yeah, the symbols are very similar to the large amount of dead sea creatures that we woke up to. I am not stinky, Jesse.
It was the pictorial
Slander.
carving, however, that did most to hold me spellbound.
What this? Alright. Dagon contains many themes and storytelling methods that Lovecraft developed in his later works, such as telling the story through carvings, At the Mountains of Madness, The Nameless City. Journals and characters' notes, The Shadow Out of Time, The Haunter of the Dark. Islands Emerging from the Ocean, Call of Cthulhu, a classic, or fictional beings and deities based on real events and mythologies, Miko in The Whisperer in the Dark. It's also considered the origin of popular Cthulhu mythos. Some of Lovecraft's other stories also concluded in a manner similar to Dagon, but let's skip the details in order to not spoil the ending. Okay.
Plainly
not.
visible across
Lies.
the intervening water on account of their enormous size were an array of bas-reliefs whose subjects would have excited the envy of a doré.
Fish people! Fish people!
I think that these things were supposed to depict men, at least a certain sort of men.
Fish people!
Though the creatures were shown disporting like fishes in the waters of some marine grotto.
Fish people! Fish people! Fish people!
Or paying homage at some monolithic shrine which appeared to be under the waves as well. Of their faces and forms I dare not speak in detail, for the mere remembrance makes me grow faint, grotesque beyond the imagination of a Poe or a Bulwer.
I'm not liking the other pictures that we're seeing here. They look a little not good.
They were damnably human in general outline, despite webbed hands and feet, shockingly wide and flabby lips, glassy, bulging eyes, and other features less pleasant to recall. Curiously enough, they seem to have been chiseled badly out of proportion with their scenic background. For one of the creatures was shown in the act of killing a whale, represented as but little larger than himself.
That might not be an error, though. You ever think of that, buddy?
As I say, their grotesqueness and strange size. But in a moment decided that they were merely the imaginary gods of some primitive fishing or seafaring tribe. Some tribe whose last descendant had perished eras before the first ancestor of the Piltdown or Neanderthal man was born.
One can hope, huh?
Awestruck at this unexpected glimpse into a past beyond the conception of the most daring anthropologist, I stood musing whilst the moon cast queer reflections on the silent channel before me.
The silent channel before me.
Suddenly, I saw it.
What? What are we supposed to see? Oh. I don't think the water's supposed to be doing that.
Churning to mark its rise to the surface, the thing slid into view above the dark waters.
Uh-oh. Oh, Jesus fucking Christ.
It darted like a stupendous monster of nightmares to the monolith.
I don't think I like that. I don't think I like that.
About which it flung its gigantic scaly arms, the while it bowed its hideous head and gave vent to certain measured sounds.
That seems bad.
I think I went mad then.
Haha, you weren't already mad.
Of my frantic ascent of the slope and cliff, and of my delirious journey back to the stranded boat.
Quick, get away from the squidian.
I believe I sang a great deal and laughed oddly when I was unable to sing.
That's so great. We're teetering around, going fucking insane. Lovely. Everything is colored strange. It's raining.
Of a great storm sometime after I reached the boat. At any rate, I know that I heard pearls of thunder and other tones which nature utters only in her wildest moods.
Hello, Poogie. I'm doing well. We're back to the boat and dead fish. Grand.
When I came out of the shadows, I was in a San Francisco hospital.
Oh, we lived.
Brought thither by the captain of the American ship which had picked up my boat in mid-ocean.
We lived?
In my delirium, I had said much, but found that my words had been given scant attention. Of any land upheaval in the Pacific, my rescuers knew nothing. Nor did I deem it necessary to insist upon a thing which I knew they could not believe.
Lovecraft was a prominent figure in the world of amateur journalism. In 1915, he started publishing his own journal called The Conservative. The Conservative, which included political and social commentary, poetry, short stories, and literary criticisms written by him and other authors. Howard was a skilled wordsmith, but he also took criticisms to heart, which resulted in his decision to step away from writing poetry and concentrate on weird fiction again. Again, for the first time since his teenage years, Dagon, published in 1919, is one of the short stories written during that period. In this example excerpt from The Conservative, the master of horror fiction explains his attitude towards warfare and the idea of world peace. Why any sane human being can believe in the possibility of universal peace is more than the conservative can fathom. Should the entire civilized world agree simultaneously to disarm, one or more nation would undoubtedly retain secret armaments and at the proper time take advantage of their more altruistic and less astute contemporaries in a wild career of conquest against unarmed victims. No country is or can ever be above warfare until the basic impulses of the human animal shall have miraculously changed. Hello, Dip.
Once I sought out a celebrated ethnologist and amused him with peculiar questions regarding the ancient Philistine legend of Dagon, the fish god.
The fish god. Dagon, was the main deity of the Philistines, worshipped throughout the Middle East as an ancient god of fertility and crops. In Hebrew, the word Dagon was a common noun for grain. The rulers of Akkad, Mesopotamia, chose him as the patron saint of their war conquests. He also appeared as the judge of the dead in an Assyrian poem and an underworld prison warder in one of the Babylonian texts. He is often mistakenly taken for a fish god due to the wrong interpretation of his name, as in Hebrew, the word dag means fish. In H.P. Lovecraft's works, Dagon is an underwater deity ruling over the deep ones, a humanoid race with fish traits that reside in the oceans. He is worshipped by a secret cult called the Esoteric Order of Dagon. Damn, I didn't know that. We're learning! Yay! I like learning. Oh, that's where I go. Okay. We're gonna tunnel over to this.
But soon perceiving that he was hopelessly conventional, I did not press my inquiries.
He couldn't answer anything about the fish god. That sucks. You'll get your answers, buddy. What am I looking at? Am I just walking around the room? I'm just walking around the room.
It is at night, especially when the moon is gibbous and waning, that I see the thing.
The thing!
I tried morphine, but the drug has given only transient surcease and has drawn me into its clutches as a hopeless slave.
Yeah, that's what it does.
Often, I ask myself if it could not all have been a pure phantasm. A mere freak of fever as I lay sun-stricken and raving in the open boat after my escape from the German man-of-war. This I ask myself, but ever does there come before me a hideously vivid vision in reply.
Tell the thing that Susan said to come home.
I cannot think of the deep sea without shuddering at the nameless things that may at this very moment be crawling and floundering on its slimy bed, worshipping their ancient stone idols and carving their own detestable likenesses on submarine obelisks of water-soaked granite.
That's a big fucking fish!
I dream of a day when they may rise above the billows to drag down into their reeking talons the remnants of puny, war-exhausted mankind. Of a day when the land shall sink, and the dark ocean shall ascend amidst universal pandemonium.
That's certainly something. I'm sure it'll be fine. They'd never do that. They don't care enough. Goodbye, New York. Oh my god. Heh. What do you mean? Why do I hear squelchy fish noises?
I hear a noise at the door, as of some immense slippery body lumbering against it.
It's fine. They don't know how to open doors. Don't fucking go to the door, dumbass.
It shall not find me.
Maybe they can't open doors. Okay,
God, that
shit.
hand.
Squiddy,
The
no!
window! The window!
Yeah, I go to the window? Okay, I go to the window. Well, that was fun. Holy shit. Okay, I guess we just fucking... Alright. That was short, but it was a good fucking game. God damn. It's okay, we have more.
And scary stories have been accompanying men for centuries. They have many faces and forms, but what is their purpose? Why do we enjoy being afraid so much? During our therapy, I'll try to
Dr. Emerson's Nocturnes. That sounds interesting. Hold on, let me check. I want to see if this is available already. Oh, no, it's not, but it's supposed to release this year. Ooh. I'm interested. This seems right up my alley. But, the next one... Okay, so we only got a few. Middle Class Bottle, Dagon, The Railway Horror. That. Oh, it's a DLC. They have DLCs for this? What the fuck? Okay. We'll need to revisit this. Hello, and thank you for watching the video. I hope you enjoyed. If you are interested in more content, there are various different links down in the description you can check out. I wish you a wonderful existence, and until next time, bye bye!